Hi, and welcome back. So we're going to go on to Chapter 2, and we're going to be talking about SWOT analysis. And I'm pretty sure that most of you have been exposed to SWOT analysis before at some point, either in your undergraduate or in some other graduate course, or maybe in your employment. So you say, well, I know about SWOT. Why is this guy bothering to talk about it? Well, I'm bothering to talk about it because, first of all, it's an incredibly powerful tool. And in terms of creating a marketing plan, it's one of the best ways to begin your current situation analysis. So it's not the only tool. It's not the only tool you should use. It's not necessarily going to preclude the use of other tools, so it might. But it is a really good baseline for understanding your current situation. So when we're talking about SWOT, we're talking about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, SWOT. And in this portion of the lecture, this part one portion of this lecture, we're going to be talking about internal analysis, which is the SW part of the SWOT analysis. So internal factors. What are our strengths internally, and what are our weaknesses internally? And then in the second half of the lecture, after a couple of brief questions, we'll be talking about external factors. So internal factors are things that are happening to us or things about us. And they're really, really important. And in terms of a marketing analysis, a marketing SWOT, the first thing we want to know is, who are we? What are we trying to do? What's our mission? What's our fundamental purpose? What's the mission that we're trying to succeed in? And how do we add value to whatever it is that we're doing? What is it that adds value? So we talked earlier last time about core competencies. What is it that we're good at? What do we do to add value? And this can work in any good or service. What is it that adds value? If we're not adding value, then why are we bothering to do whatever it is that we do? So adding value can be anything from a transportation service that moves a good from point A to point B. The value added is we've moved a good to where it needs to be for the customer. So that's a service. The value added for the tugboat in the last lecture is that we provide a service to allow ships to safely enter and leave tight quarters or ports and or docking facilities. So that's the value added. The thing that we add value to is make it possible for ships to come in safely, dock, and then ships to leave a port. So what is our firm's fundamental purpose? Whatever company we're analyzing, what is it that we're trying to do? What's our goal? And then how do we add value? So that's sort of where we start. And then we may want to look at some of our resources. So what are the resources that we have? And every organization has pretty much these resources. They have human resources. So people. Our people are one of our resources. We have financial resources. So those are the funds that we have that enable us to do whatever it is that we want to do. Informational or IT resources. What do we know? Do we have specialized knowledge? And then our supply resources. Where do we get the pieces or the knowledge or the things that we need to provide our services? And what are we really good at? So some companies may have great human resources, but maybe not the greatest financial resources. Other companies may have, or other organizations, not necessarily companies, may have terrific financial resources, but lack really good human resources. So we need to know, what are these resources? How are they? What's their value? And do we have good ones or bad ones? And what makes us special? So what's our core competency in each one of these things? And maybe we don't have a core competency in one or more of these things. The next thing we want to look at is what it is that we're offering, whether this is a good and or a service. What are we offering? And then look at that. Does it fit with our mission? And does it fit with these resources that we have? So we know what our mission is. We know what our resources are. Now we want to look at what we're currently offering and see if that fits our mission. Are we doing what we are trying to do? Does this particular offering advance our mission, whatever our mission might be? And secondly, are we good at it? Do we have a core competency with this thing? Do we have the resources, whether they're human, financial, informational, or supply resources? Do we have those resources in order to provide that good or service in an efficient way, or a way perhaps better than other people who might be providing the same kind of good or service? So that's the third part of this piece. And then we want to do data. So when I'm teaching accountants, this is where accountants really like this stuff. We can get down and dirty in the data, but we got to know these other things first, which are much squishier. They're not data-based necessarily. Certainly mission isn't. There might be some databases to our resources. Then there's not much of a database to the fit with the mission or fit with the resources. But now here we've got some data. So what are we selling right now in these products, the currently offered products? We can look at that in either dollars or units, or services delivered, if you will. In the service side, we can look at it based on profitability, overall profitability, and how profitable each specific offering is, whether that's product or service. And then what does it cost us to acquire new customers, and what does it cost to keep a customer? A very important piece of data, sometimes hard to find, but useful data to have, and on and on and on. So we can look at all of our data, historical data about our operations. What are we doing that we can quantify? So this is the quantifiable piece of the internal analysis. This is, some of this data is very available in any accounting system, and some of it you have to dig for. So this is perhaps an easy exercise in some cases, but sometimes a very difficult exercise. And then the final thing that we're going to do internally is look at outside, but it's still an internal analysis, look at our relationships with our partners. So channel partners, the people that resell our products, so these are distributors, retailers, brokers, agents. So let's talk about that a little bit. We'll be getting into this in depth a little later on in this course, but let's talk about what a channel partner is. If I'm a manufacturer of garden rakes, I may have different ways to distribute my garden rakes. I may sell them directly to the retailer, let's say Home Depot or the local hardware store, or I may sell them to a distributor who resells them to a retailer. I may have agents that act for me in the sales process. So an agent would be somebody, a sales agent would be somebody who called on let's say the retailers, but was not necessarily an employee of mine. They were paid a commission, and they may sell my product and a variety of other products to Home Depot. So they're going to sell my garden rakes and somebody else's garden shovels, something like that. So That's an agent. And then a broker is someone who also is a middle person or a middleman, and they also act as a third party to resell my products. So I may use any or all of those partners in channels, and I want to know what my relationships are. Are they good? Am I in the right channels? What kind of channels do I use? And do I have a strong relationship in those channels, a strong and beneficial relationship, or not? The same thing is true upstream. So those are all downstream relationships. Channel relationships are downstream. Suppliers are upstream. So if I'm making garden rakes, maybe I have to buy steel and to manufacture the rakes, or maybe I'm making plastic garden rakes, so I have to buy raw plastics. And I also have to buy wood for the handles, or maybe I have plastic handles, whatever. I'm going to need suppliers to provide me with the materials necessary to make my product. So that's a supplier relationship, just as important as the downstream relationships. How good are my relationships with my supplier? So if you think about a retailer has an upstream relationship with their suppliers, so the garden rake manufacturer, and then they also have a downstream relationship with their consumers. So they also have relationships on both sides. And then I may have other business partners, lawyers, accountants, financial partners, banks, all sorts of different potential other business partners. How good are my relationships? Also very, very important. So when I'm analyzing these channel partners, suppliers, and other business partners, I want to look at, first of all, their capacity. If I'm planning to grow really fast, do they have the capacity to grow with me? Are they already at max capacity, and I may need to look for other suppliers and or channel partners? How good is the job that they're doing? Are they delivering either quality supplies coming in? Is the steel quality good or the wood quality good? Or are they delivering on the downstream side, on the channel side, are they providing high quality service to the ultimate consumer? Are they doing a good job? Are they located in the right place? Are they do they have good customer service? Do they have good convenient hours for for my ultimate customers to buy from them, and so forth? And so the capacity, quality, and value provided is obviously part of capacity and quality, along with a lot of other intangibles. So what are they providing? What kind of value are they providing to the ultimate consumer, and therefore to me as a supplier of those downstream and or my upstream suppliers? Are they providing me with high quality materials that work well in my manufacturing process? So those are the kind of basic internal analysis pieces that you're going to look at. There's lots more, but we're just doing a quick overview of a SWOT. So that finishes up the internal pieces. Answer a couple of questions after this, and then we'll go on to the external analysis that we need to do for a SWOT analysis. Thanks very much.